Here we go. All right, guys, welcome to the stream. And we've got less than a minute before we start the countdown to go satellite radio. But as you can tell, it's going to be the Sheriff Prider, Captain Brett, and the Dan Dela Cruz show today. So, and we've got a lot to talk about. Hey, Brett, can you open that in slow motion? Well, I wonder how long it'll take Brett to realize his mic's muted, but hopefully he'll figure that out before the show starts. So, no, you can't do that. All right. Welcome to the show, guys. If streamers, if you guys have anything you want us to talk about, all you have to do is just let us know. We've got about 6 minutes before we start satellite radio, at least thanks to Dan Dela Cruz's company, Compliant Technology. So you got to love that.
I've been showing those videos to all the guys at the academy, and everybody knows, and everybody is astonished.
Oh, yeah. I had a conversation with Jared.
Dan, have you ever dealt with Tampa police? I may have asked you, but I forgot. Yeah.
I'm not sure. So my rep in Florida he's made the rounds down there. So
I talked to Sonny.
Oh, did you? Great.
I talked to Sonny, and I have already talked with Tampa, and I owe Sonny a phone call to let him know how that conversation went. But things are they're intrigued. They want to. We've already got Jared want a hands-on experience with the gloves. So we'll see what happens. So and he watched my video. So yeah.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, Jared does. Yeah.
You say he does want a hands-on chip?
Correct.
I need to be there for
gloved.
Yeah. Please.
He wants to be gloved.
Let me be there.
Yeah. And so anyhow, so yep. So the conversations have already started. So that's good. So Brett, what kind of reactions are you getting at the academy when people watch it?
Oh, they're just digging it. They're going, oh my gosh, why don't we have this? I said, well, It's just the reason that agencies don't have it. It's not the device. It's people. It's stubbornness. It is unwillingness to do anything different. It's just people. It's not the device. Nobody's got a gripe with the device. It's people.
Even when I talked to him, though, I said, "Are you familiar with the glove by Compliant Technology?" He goes, "I've heard of it."
Oh my gosh, I've heard of it.
But I know. He had heard of it, and I said, "I'm going to send you a video that I want you to watch." And it was the one that I,
I show that video of you, Chip, and I tell people, here's what the newspaper is going to say. At that point, the man threw himself to the ground. That's what it's going to say. Not the police grabbed it. He launched himself straight. If you could have gone lower than the ground, you would have gone lower than the ground.
Yeah. And I can't even remember. I had to watch the video to figure out what I did because I couldn't remember how I got on the ground.
I remember you yelling something like "I love Satan," but that could have been something completely different. I don't know.
Ignore him, Dan.
I love Satan.
So, yeah, it was a pretty wild ride. Yeah.
Oh, and then they wanted me to do it. I don't know about that.
Yeah, Chief Schultz on yesterday's show was talking about that would be a good opportunity. That would have been a good use of the glove. And I told the chief on live on the air, I said, statement would mean a lot more if you actually got gloved before you said it. And he goes, yeah, no. So,
yep.
But yeah, we had some guys hands on. Bad guy produced a gun. We had 3 cops, and the bad guy produced a .357 Taurus revolver and got a shot off. And none of the cops, I mean, right there, like point blank, none of the cops got hit with it. They lit him up. I think we had 2 cops fire. They each fired 6 rounds, and the dude died. But yeah, a .357 revolver. I can't remember the location.
No.
We just covered it yesterday, but that was the one that Chief Schultz said that if they would have had the glove, it never would have, that never would have happened. So yeah, and they knew the guy might be armed.
30 years ago or 20 years ago, when my son was a new policeman, I got to taser him in training. I'd love to 20 years later have Dan put that glove on my little baby boy Jeffrey, who's 6'2".
Well, Jeffrey's not so little. He's not so small.
Oh, he's a big boy.
He oozes Marine. You know that he just oozes Marine.
No, I think he just oozes, but go ahead. Thank you.
So we got 2 minutes before we go to satellite radio. But yeah, I tell you what, so if it's okay, we can take anything out of order.
He said
if you guys,
words that we can't say on radio.
I'm sure but the idea, I'm going to cover the first three main topics. Boom, boom, boom. Maybe throw the first update in there before we had a couple videos, but we can take anything out of order if you guys want. So if the sheriff is something, if you like a video or something you want me to take out of order, just let me know.
All right.
Well, good. We do request. So we this is our last live. This is our last live week, and then next week, starting on Monday, I will be in St. Augustine, Florida, and I will be there until Thursday, and then I'm going to Dahlonega, Georgia, and I'll be there through Monday, and I'll be coming back on Monday. So we will have 8 days of some special stuff that Will's going to put together. I will not be doing remotes. Disappointed in St. Augustine, the cops over there, some of the stuff I've seen them doing. It's almost like watching Minneapolis, police, they're just, it's a pretty liberal place, and you kind of forget that until
they're pretty close to Jacksonville. So yeah.
Oh yeah. And we're going to be covering the Jacksonville mayor. Was it the mayor or the governor? The one that
the mayor just responded.
Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah, because our AG's threatening to jam her up. So.
Yeah, we only have one governor in Florida, Chip. So.
Well, I guess I don't know why I was thinking, was it the governor of Florida? But yeah, you're right. Yeah. That was the test, Brett. I was testing you. I hope I'm on all cylinders before we start the show. All right.
Don't make me bring out my brand new Springfield Kuna 9mm.
Oh, don't rub it in. All right, guys, I'm starting the music. We're going satellite radio. Here we go. All right, guys, and welcome to Leo Roundtable at leoroundtable.com. My name is Chip the Block, and I'm your host, and we're a group of law enforcement professionals that talk about today's news and issues, but we do it from a law enforcement perspective. Let me introduce the crew, and guys, if you don't mind waiting for the video portion of our show, he's back, Sheriff Mark Kreider, all the way from Walla Walla County in Washington State. So thanks for being back on the show, Sheriff. We've also got Captain Brett Bartlett, the founder of Exemplar Defense Solutions at exemplardefense.com, and he wanted me to say something. 32 years of exemplary law enforcement experience. And then we've got our bad dude on the show, man. This guy it's kind of like having Scott Steyert, Green Beret Delta Force. We have our own Dan Dela Cruz. Yeah, he's the guy that put the glove on me when I was at SHOT Show, made me scream like a little girl. So anyhow, welcome to the show. He's with Compliant Technologies, our satellite sponsor. So thanks for being back on the show, Dan. And we've got some great topics. But first, our sponsors, guys, our title sponsor, Galls at Galls.com, and Dan's company, Compliant Technologies, our satellite sponsor at CompliantTechnologies.com. We have GunLearn.com. We have MyMedicare.live, SafeguardRecruiting.com. Thanks to them, we're streaming to over 1 million followers right now on social media during the live show. And finally, TwoBells.com. They built their new online store at LeoRoundtable.com. Go to our website. You can get cool shirts, our cool gear. I got a picture of the new coffee mug. This is not the new one, but the new one is bigger and better, and it's got a logo on both sides. So whether you're left or right-handed, whatever hand you hold the mug in, the logo is going to show. It's they're now available, and I've got one being sent to me right now. So thanks to the sponsors. Also a shout out to Brian Burns for the Tampa Free Press for carrying our content, and Ray Dietrich, former lawman.com, and finally Travis Yates with lawofficer.com. Thanks to all those entities for helping make the show happen. And now here is what we're going to be talking about today. We have phone company executives reveal why they complied with the Jack Smith's secret subpoenas. Man, I wanted to know. And then we've got, this is Florida, not Minnesota. So the Jacksonville mayor is in a legal hotspot after undermining ICE. And you'll get to hear about that. The article never said her name. I had to look it up to find out who was the mayor of Jacksonville. And then legal immigrant restaurant owner, and I love this. It makes me want to go to Arizona. The owner of this restaurant triggers the libs. That alone makes me want to go. But then it gets better. He's giving free meals to ICE agents. Incredible. And then we've got Massachusetts State Police. There's a recruit death, unfortunately, but it leads to the indictments of the academy staff. There's a pucker factor. Then Phoenix police officers fatally shoot an unarmed man later identified or determined to be the wrong suspect. I found that video very confusing. And then Tashawn Rogers fired a shot at a plainclothes police officers before being fatally shot by the officers. And then drone technology. I put this one in for Brett. Drone technology helps Staunton police catch the serial defector. Or nope, wait a minute. That's not defector, it's defecator. The serial defecator using the park as a public bathroom. Wow. All right, Brett, that's for you. I expect some expert testimony on that one, Brett. Also, yeah, I know. Also, let's see what we've got. We've got another one here. It is, I guess, finally, a fallen officers fatally shoot a knife-wielding suspect after 2 people end up being stabbed. And NYPD body cam video shows a cop shooting a mentally ill Queens man who ends up charging him with a knife. So there you go. So if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and start this thing off with one of our first of 3 main topics, dailycaller.com. Yeah, I got an alert. Yeah, well, I guess it was the Daily Mail. I get an alert on my cell phone. The Daily Wire I subscribed to a year or 2 ago. I just had $430 some on my debit card charge, so I took care of that, Brett. Don't worry. But phone company executives reveal why they complied with Jack Smith secret subpoenas. I wanted to know too. Now we're going to know. 3 phone company executives, they testified on Tuesday about why they supplied Republican members of Congress's records. So they didn't give it to the Republicans. They complied with Biden's DOJ. And this is in response to the former special counsel Jack Smith's secret subpoenas. I say secret because the members of Congress that he was getting information on, he didn't want them finding out about it. The companies received at least 84 subpoenas, if you can believe that, during the Arctic Frost probe. That was Jack Smith's case against President Donald Trump, including at least 10 associated with 20 current or former Republican members, according to the Senate Judiciary Chair Chuck Grassley. And here's a quote saying that we have put new processes in place to increase transparency to members whose information is sought by law enforcement. And that's Chris Miller, Senior Vice President and General Counsel of Verizon. That's what he told the committee. We have been working closely with Congress and the administration for the past few months to address the important issues raised by the committee's inquiry. And then Smith's subpoena sought toll records, which includes logs of messages and calls, their duration, and the number contacted. Now, it says it did not seek the actual content of the communications, although it says that they included the logs of the messages. But you better believe that if they got the right hits, they would have asked for the messages too. It goes on to say the companies do not always know that the requested accounts belong to members of Congress. When subpoena analysts receive a valid legal demand, they say that they were not trained to do an inquiry into the associated subscribers. So they didn't vet the information according to Miller. Now, here's the interesting thing. I'm going to find out what I have AT&T, and I actually have AT&T FirstNet. Verizon and T-Mobile, they both complied with the subpoenas, and AT&T, my company, questioned a subpoena for Republican Texas Senator Ted Cruz's records. AT&T did produce the records, though, for former Republican House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, though. And it goes on to say that after responding to several, they, meaning AT&T, their legal center, they actually reached out to lawyers to discuss what was becoming a series of requests. And that's according to David McAtee, with senior executive with AT&T. And Cruz's account was easier to identify because they were using his campaign account, not his personal one. It's just scary. And then in our database of customers, there's over 2,000 Kevin McCarthy, so they didn't immediately know that it was him. In response to the request for Cruz's records, a lawyer asked Smith's team if a subpoena would implicate constitutional protections, and the company did not receive a response. Gee, I wonder why. And then before greenlighting subpoenas, former head of the Department of Justice's Public Integrity Section, John Keller, warned prosecutors that there may be some litigation risk involving all this stuff. It goes on and on, but you guys get the general idea. And these companies were I mean, there were 84 subpoenas, so they were just being overwhelmed with subpoenas. Let me just throw this last one out, because Senator Lindsey Graham weighed in saying, you failed me. You failed to honor the contract protecting all of us. And he was pointing that out about Verizon. And then we've got Senator Marsha Blackburn, House Judiciary Committee, and asking people their flight risks, and Senator Dick Durbin. It goes on and on and on. Guys, who wants to weigh on this first? We got about 4.5 minutes before we take our first commercial break. Sheriff Mark Kreider.
Since I've served a lot of these during my career as an FBI agent, I have a little bit different take on this. I was a little bit appalled that the congressmen were yelling and screaming because they're congressmen they're immune from legal process. This was legal process. What I would be more concerned about as an American citizen is I would like to read the probable cause for why these were issued, and I would like to go back to the judge and find out why these were issued. I served tons of subpoenas in which we asked for a 60, 90, 120-day non-disclosure because of the sensitive nature of the investigation. That's not unusual. But what is the probable cause that you're subpoenaing these phone records for, and what judge signed off on it? Because if it states in the probable cause statement that they're a flight risk, you have to name the individual, and I don't know how you justify a congressman as a flight risk. That's absurd. So more concerning to me is the judicial review on these legal processes that are done every single day across the United States in bona fide investigations done by the feds. So that's what should be concerning to the American citizens.
Agreed. All right, Brett.
I absolutely agree. I was reading that article and I thought, why are these people mad at the phone? They just responded to what appeared to be a legal subpoena issue, signed off by a judge and done the right way. If I were Verizon, I'd stand up at here and go, don't yell at us. Yell at that knucklehead judge or that knucklehead prosecutor. We're just, we have no ability to parse through a subpoena and go, well, this looks suspicious. Just do your job and then start yelling at the prosecutor who just did it for spite.
Yeah. Good. All good points, guys. Well, if you guys are ready, we'll hit our next one then. We'll watch this in case there's any more. This Arctic frost has not gone away yet. This next one here is it's our second of three main stories. RVMnews.com. This is Florida, not Minnesota. Jacksonville mayor in legal hot water after undermining ICE. Now, I still don't know why they never mentioned her name in the article, and I'll get to that in a second. But that I found that intriguing. Florida Attorney General James Uthmeyer said that his office is reviewing whether a Jacksonville city official unlawfully interfered with federal immigration enforcement after allegedly alerting the public to the locations that ICE was doing operations at. The comments come amid allegations that information about ICE activity was publicly shared, potentially disrupting law enforcement efforts. Now, the city's mayor, she's denied any wrongdoing actually happened. But our AG in Florida said the matter raises serious concerns under Florida law. And here's a quote saying that we have a situation here where a city official was out there publicly alerting people to ICE locations, interfering with immigration enforcement efforts. I can see why that would be something to be concerned about. Uthmeyer, he emphasized that Florida law requires cooperation, requires it. And this is with federal law enforcement. It does not give local officials the ability to have discretion to undermine immigration enforcement or decide whether they want to adhere to the law. And finally, he says, and this is beautiful, this is the state of Florida. It is not Minnesota. Now, while the mayor of Jacksonville, and I'm showing Mayor Donna Deegan as the mayor, has stated that no laws were violated, our AG said that state officials disagree with that assessment and they're evaluating whether there needs to be further action taken against her. He indicated that the review will focus on whether the conduct involved coordination beyond a single individual. So whether she was coordinating with other officials that work for the city or other employees. Now, look, we got a commercial break sneaking up on us, guys. So look, stick with us. We'll be right back. All right, guys, it's time to talk about our title sponsor, Galls at Galls.com. And, as police officers, one thing we do really, really well, we love to buy gear. And when you throw the online option, it's almost limitless. But I want to remind everybody, but what's really important here, it's supporting the companies that actually support law enforcement. And I don't know if a company does that better than Galls at Galls.com. And even their motto is proud to serve those who serve, which, of course, they do in spectacular fashion. And not only that, they walk the talk by supporting dozens of focused organizations like this radio show. So when you're looking for gear, please support our title sponsor by going to galls@galls.com, and they're going to do you one better. For the loyal listeners of the show, they've got a radio code. It's radio15, and using that code, you get 15% off your next purchase at galls.com. It works on most purchases, and they have gift cards. Hook up your family, friends, and loved ones with a new Galls gift card, and they would be your new best friends. And as Brett Bartlett always says, they pretty much have everything but guns and ammo. If you haven't checked them out lately, go to galls.com. Again, galls.com. You'll be glad that you did. All right, 2 minutes, guys, before we come back to the radio portion of the show. All right.
So I bought a device out at SHOT Show from Dry Fire Mag. Chip, remember we went to see them.
I've been reaching out to them. Yes.
Okay. It's pretty neat stuff. The magazine, this device fits in the Glock. It doesn't hold bullets. It holds a battery, and you put a certain laser cartridge into the barrel, and you insert the magazine to set it up. So when you can pull the trigger on the Glock using your laser in any kind of display you have without having to reset the slide each time. It's really kind of neat.
Sheriff Kreider would like that. Hey, Dan, you can open up your mic too. I mean, we got over a minute here to talk before we go back to live radio. So, do you have headphones, Dan?
Yeah, I have headphones.
Okay, cool, excellent.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that I know that Sheriff Kreider. I know that you were a firearms instructor. Did you ever use any of that technology?
Yeah, we went through a gamut of different stuff. Obviously, dry fire is great, and that's kind of the downfall of the Glock is resetting the trigger every time when you dry fire. So I'd be interested in kind of seeing that and seeing how what you think of it. It's
dryfiremag.com, I think. Sure, let me see if I.
Yeah, your audio is cutting in and out, Brett, but yeah. Right. We got 30 seconds, guys, before we go back to satellite.
I'll look it up. That was always the downside.
I just got it a couple days ago.
I came up with SIGs, and so if you were dry firing, you were constantly doing double action pull instead of the single action pull.
Yeah. And that's what do they call that? A training scar.
6 seconds, guys. Back to satellite. Here we go. All right, guys, welcome back. Leo Roundtable at leoroundtable.com, the law enforcement talk show. My name is Chip the Block, and I'm your host. We're joined by Sheriff Mark Kreider from Walla Walla County in Washington State, Captain Brett Bartlett from the Tampa Police Department, and also Dan Dela Cruz from Compliant Technologies with the Glove. We just got done talking about the Jacksonville mayor in Florida that's being accused of interfering with ICE operations by disclosing the location of the operations that are going on through the federal agency. And I know the Florida Attorney General Uthmeyer is not happy about that. Commentary on that, Dan Dela Cruz.
Yeah, I would just think at this point, with everything that's gone on recently, that these officials, these state officials, government officials that are there for the people, would realize that they're putting people in harm's way. I mean, it's just become an obvious, no matter what their beliefs are, no matter what they're thinking, why go out of your way to put somebody in harm's way? None of these things are ending well or going well. It just seems I would hold them highly responsible for that they're advocating putting people in harm's way. It's just crazy.
Online says that she's a Democratic mayor. I don't know that that's any surprise or shock, but I will tell you one thing with ICE operations, I'm hoping that sooner than later we see them using the glove, because that's an easy one. Every ICE officer, Border Patrol guy that's going hands-on should have that tool. Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, yeah. I'd love to see that, Chip, because the newspaper accounts would say a crowd of 30 people threw themselves to the ground when touched by the ICE off. It's a minor miracle they threw themselves to the ground or launched themselves through the car window. Well, I tell you, Chip, this whole opposing ICE by these elected officials is not going to change until one of them gets cuffs put on them and put in jail. Now, I don't know what the federal statute is for that, but in Florida, it would be opposing a police officer. You're opposing my lawful authority by doing or taking some action to stop me. one of them needs to go to jail.
I'm waiting for that to happen, and I'm with you. And you know what? I still have an old pair of handcuffs that I will volunteer to donate as long as they're used on the first wrist that get arrested for that. Sheriff Kreider.
Well, I live in the Socialist Republic of Washington State, and I can tell you that if you look at this from an outside perspective, the whole thing is set up to sow chaos. In Washington, we have the Keep Washington Working Act, which basically prohibits local law enforcement from cooperating or assisting or whatever you want to call it with ICE. So instead of the safe and secure transfer of prisoners inside the county jails, we are now forcing our federal counterparts to go out into the neighborhoods and conduct these arrests out in the public, which all four of us know it's much safer to do that in a jail. Number one, you're only getting the people that are here illegally and have committed a state crime as well, because we don't put illegal immigrants in county jails for immigration violations. We put them in jail for violations of state law. So if you would allow immigration into the jails, you would get the people that we're really after, and you would have no chaos because nobody can protest in there. It's safer for the officers. It's safer for the suspects. It's safer for the community. So you have to step back and look at this and think these public officials want the chaos that we're seeing on the streets of Minneapolis to happen. And that's just evil.
You know, did you see, I know yesterday we covered that one of the sheriff, I think it was in St. Paul, Minneapolis, they're right next to each other, but the sheriff in the St. Paul area actually sent his deputies in to grab, I think it was like around 42 protesters that were protesting against a federal building. So not local, not state, a federal building. The sheriff goes in and he takes care of business. But Tom Homan had just gone on in the last week or so when he said that he made a deal with Tim Walz and Jacob Frey, the governor and the mayor, respectively, even though they were denying that they cut a deal with Tom Homan. Tom Homan said, yeah, I've got sheriffs now and local that are letting us into the jails to grab people, and that's why we're pulling 600 agents out, leaving 2,000 in, and it's just a beautiful thing. And I have to believe that this sheriff is liking that new relationship. And he said, I'm going to do you one better. I'm going to go and I'm going to protect that federal building. I mean, I love it. The governor must be pulling his hair out right now. No offense, Brett.
Yeah. Well, speaking of offense, I think the sheriff was right. The ICE issue, the immigration issue, is not important to the opposition. It's simply a convenient point of and it could have been anything else.
Your audio is not good enough.
Topic,
so we're going to go to the next main story anyhow. So our main three here: RVMnews.com, legal immigrant restaurant owner triggers libs by giving free meals to ICE agents. So a restaurant owner in South Arizona is drawing national attention after announcing that Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents, or ICE, and other federal law enforcement officers will receive free meals at his business. Now, George Rivas, he's the owner of Sammy's Mexican Grill in Catalina, Arizona, and he's offering the meals as a gesture of respect and support for law enforcement. So you got to love that. So Rivas, he's a Salvadorian immigrant. He came to the United States legally. And his decision is rooted in his belief in the rule of law and appreciation for those that are tasked with enforcing it. Now, the announcement gained widespread attention after Rivas made the offer, and this was done during an interview that was later translated into English, but it circulated on social media. And it went viral, and now there's all kinds of reactions all over the political spectrum. And Rivas said that everyone who works for ICE, all federal agents, not just ICE, but all federal agents, can come to Sammy's Mexican Grill. Here, they will be treated with respect and as they deserve. Wow. And he emphasized that the support extends to all federal enforcement officers, not just ICE, like I said earlier. He said his background as a legal immigrant, it shaped his perspective and motivated him to publicly support immigration enforcement. And You got to love that. He says, I know firsthand what it means to come here the right way. The public response to his announcement has been mixed. Some critics on social media, they're calling for a boycott, of course, of the restaurant. And Rivas addressed the backlash by accusing critics of some stuff. We're going to cover that in a second, guys. I got another commercial break sneaking up on us, so stick with us. We'll be right back. All right, guys. Compliant Technologies at complianttechnologies.com. They're committed to providing non-lethal solutions to help officers gain the upper hand safely and rapidly in a humane, low-optics manner, utilizing what they're called their CD3, which stands for Conductive Distraction and De-escalation Technology. Now, their flagship product, we all know by now, is called the Glove. It's helped officers tens of thousands of times with no injuries, and you heard that correctly. I said no injuries. The Glove has actually achieved non-lethal status in an arena that predominantly can only offer less lethal results. And when it comes to weapons retention, transitioning to a sidearm or conductive energy weapon, the Glove at complianttechnologies.com, they have virtually eliminated weapons confusion. And I said tens of thousands of times. I actually think they're up to over 250,000 deployments with no injuries or deaths. I mean, that's just simply amazing. So when it comes to safety, you can trust the Glove at Compliant Technologies, and they have virtually eliminated weapons confusion. So take it from me, when it comes to safety, this is one of the most common sense hands-on solutions that's ever come along. Go to complianttechnologies.com today. All right, guys, we have 4 minutes before we come back to the radio portion of the show. And all right, off to a good start here. And so I think we lost Brett. His audio quality was diminishing. So it's just a I'm getting background noise, guys, from somebody. So I don't know if someone doesn't have ears on or something, but I'm getting some mumbling. And yeah, Spectrum. There's been some issues with Spectrum. So there you go. But guys, unless you want me to talk by myself, if you can open up your mics, I got almost 4 minutes here. So
yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened when Brett, my audio.
Oh, really?
Are you there? Yeah, that's why I had to get out and back in. The audio disappeared. So, but I came back in and it was right back.
I'm getting some background stuff. Do you have your headphones in still, Dan?
Yeah.
And is sound coming in over speakers instead of your headphones? Because I'm getting feedback.
No, just my headphones.
Check. I don't think it's mine.
It's not. No, I when I muted Dan's mic, it goes away. So I'll if it gets much more, I can't do this during a live show, but
no, I understand.
It may end up being the sheriff and chip show. So anybody got big plans for the weekend coming up?
Big shoot this weekend.
All right. Hey Dan, I gotta let you go, Dan. It's the feedback's just too bad. I'm sorry.
You got it. No problem.
All right, Sheriff. It's just it's gonna be you and me today. So.
Uh-oh.
All right. So yep, I just the feedback. I just muted the mic and it went away. But yeah, I'm getting that nasty feedback. So we got 2.5 minutes almost before we come back to the radio portion of the show. And just like that, streamers, we've lost half the show. more than half. So, oh well, what are you going to do? So, but
the Western States Sheriff's Association conference is coming up at the end of the month. So that's where I'll be at the end of the month.
Tell me about that. What does that entail?
The Western States Sheriff's Association is, I believe there's 17 states now that are a part of that. Mostly, obviously, Western states west of the Mississippi. And we kind of advocate for a lot of land rights stuff that you don't see on the East Coast, just because there's so much public land out here.
Right.
And sometimes that creates confusion and conflict between, different users of public land. We have a lot of ranchers that depend on that public land for grazing and stuff like that. And then a lot of recreational users. So we just kind of advocate for different things that affect sheriffs differently than it affects police officers in the cities and municipalities. We also they are working.
That's the one that Compliant Technologies is going to, correct? I mean, didn't they say they were going to have a rep there for that one?
I don't know. I'll look and see when I'm there. I'll see if they're there. That would be a great
forum for them.
Yeah, great place to get a lot of exposure. Usually get good participation at that conference.
Yeah, I mentioned something to Jeff Nicholas, who's the CEO, and I believe he said they had somebody there locally that was going to be attending that, if I'm not mistaken. So, but yeah, we got to get that glove in the hands of more sheriffs and deputies. So, yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
So apparently, Spook Dog says spot on, Sheriff. So he's backing you up, Sheriff. So we got 17 seconds before we come back, and I'm over here at Rumble. They obviously know I'm a bourbon lover, so thanks guys for watching the show. We appreciate it. And over on LinkedIn, we're batting 1,000 on all the platforms. I'm gonna start the music, and we're going back to radio, guys. All right, guys, welcome back. Leo Roundtable at leoroundtable.com, the law enforcement talk show. My name is Chip the Block, and I'm your host. And we're joined by Sheriff Mark Kreider, former FBI. And we had two other panelists that are no longer with us for the second half of the show. And so Sheriff Kreider is going to carry the weight of the rest of the show for us. We left off talking about our third main story. It's a beautiful one, though. Legal immigrant restaurant. This owner is triggering libs by giving away free meals to ICE agents, and they just must be beside themselves. And so our immigrant, his name is George Rivas. He's a Salvadoran immigrant, came over here illegally, and it's just killing him that people are coming over here illegally, and he supports ICE and get rid of them. He emphasized that his support extends to all federal officers, and he's offered them free meals at his restaurant, and he's going to treat them with respect. And I believe I don't want to just throw that in there. Right? Let me say, everyone who works for ICE, all federal agents can come to Sammy's Mexican Grill. They'll be treated with respect as they deserve. So, okay, I said free meals, and maybe it was just with respect, but I thought I'd read that somewhere else. And he says he knows firsthand to come here the right way and not skip ahead of the line illegally. The public response, he's been getting mixed, but some people want to call for boycotts. And then we've got other people that want to pledge their support, and they didn't want to go to his restaurant just because of him and the way he's supporting ICE. He addressed the backlash by accusing critics of suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. And he said at the same time, the restaurant has received support from customers planning to visit Sammy's Mexican Grill. Remember that name specifically because of a stance. So there you go, guys. Sammy's Mexican Grill in Arizona. Support that guy. Sheriff, I know you're over in Washington State, but it almost makes me want to make the drive to Arizona.
Yeah. It's ridiculous that we're sowing. I'm sure in your career, you spent a lot of time trying to build relationships with other agencies, especially federal agencies, because they can bring a lot of resources to bear, as we're seeing in the Guthrie kidnapping. The feds can come in and they have tons of resources, especially for small communities like mine. And these policies and laws that are being passed in some of the Democratic states that are driving wedges between state, local, and federal agencies, we should be cooperating and pooling our resources. Instead, we're trying to push apart and get no cooperation whatsoever between the different agencies. And it's just, it's not good for public safety. It does not make our citizens safer.
I totally agree. And I was right. He was offering free meals. I went back and reread the article, and he was offering free. We've covered on the show, we've been bouncing back and forth on that one story. Gavin Newsom signed that new law in California about the no mask and basically trying to enforce it against the feds, saying that, well, saying that the local PD and sheriff's office can go ahead and charge them for not, if they wear a mask. And it's funny that the LAPD police chief, I think McDonnell is his name, came out and said, we're not enforcing that. And then quickly followed by LA County Sheriff's Office, the sheriff said, we're not going to do it either. And so then they announced through Gavin Newsom's office that that's okay. We'll charge them civilly. And they're telling they still want the general public to be filming and taking pictures of ICE agents and the feds doing their jobs, because if they are masked up, now they're going to hit them civilly, and it's the civil fines start at $10,000 in offense, if you can believe that. And now we have a federal judge that just said, you know what? that's illegal. You can't do that. You can't target ICE agents, and so now it's off the table again, unless I guess maybe unless they rework the law to target everybody instead of just the feds. But yeah, that's the mentality over there in California right now, unfortunately.
Well, we have the same thing being passed in the legislature in Washington State. It's a masking thing. And, I'm going to get on my soapbox here for a minute. Washington State legislature is trying to pass requirements to be able to run for sheriff. And these requirements will be overseen by a unelected commission run by the governor. And, you're trying to put requirements on law enforcement, but yet I guarantee you that half the legislature couldn't pass a basic civics class. We've never heard of the supremacy clause. Local jurisdictions do not have the right to try and implement anything on the federal government. That's a basic tenet of our, of our Constitution. So it just amazes me that we're going to waste my taxpayer dollars on litigation for laws that are passed by legislatures that don't understand basic civics.
I guess they'll learn the hard way at our expense. That is sad. But thanks for keep us up to speed on that movement. We'll just call it that. Wow. We've got we're done with our main stories. We have an update story that I'd like to cover real quick. A Massachusetts State Police recruit death leads to indictments of the academy staff. This is at lawofficer.com. Of course, I was we both were trainers, Sheriff, and we have a training mentality and a training history, which I think is extremely important. So when I hear of things like this, I get very inquisitive and concerned. So we're in Boston, Massachusetts on this one. The death of a Massachusetts State Police recruit, Enrique Delgado Garcia. It's led to indictments against a supervisor and 3 instructors assigned to the State Police Academy's Defensive Tactics Unit. And I was a DT instructor. So investigators say that the 25-year-old recruit, he died after suffering serious head injuries during a boxing-based training that they allege was unsafe and not properly stopped. Delgado Garcia died at a hospital on September the 13th, 2024, which is about, almost a year and a half ago, one day after he became unresponsive during a defensive tactics exercise. And they were in a boxing ring. He suffered what officials described as a medical crisis, according to the Associated Press. Now, 4 people have been indicted in reference to this. So we have the supervisor, I'm assuming it's Sergeant Jennifer Penton, and then we have troopers Edwin Rodriguez, David Montanez, and Casey Lamonte. The investigator appointed by the Massachusetts Attorney General gave this information out to multiple outlets, and investigators said the defendants are charged with involuntary manslaughter and causing serious bodily injury to a person participating in a training program involving physical exercise. Penton also faces a perjury charge tied to her grand jury testimony, which would not be cool. The men and women indicted are not expected to be arrested, but their arraignments are scheduled at a later date. Wow. So I'm surprised, Sheriff.
Well, I wouldn't say that I'm surprised. Anytime that you have any kind of training incident, let alone a death, there should be a thorough and rigorous review of your policies and procedures to see what was going on. Based on the limited knowledge that you just, limited information that you just put out, my guess is that, as we both know, it's not the actual incident that causes people to get either charged or indicted. It's the cover-up afterwards. And there should be a thorough and transparent review because we don't want this to happen again. And was it something that we were doing in the training that we shouldn't have been doing? Or, was there a medical condition that wasn't caught? So, we should let that play out. And if there were problems, people should be held accountable.
Yeah, you're right. Things can happen. I mean, look, I've had recruits doing the fitness training. I've had them drop out, have seizures, didn't know they were having an epileptic seizure. And sometimes that can be brought on by rigorous exercise and stuff. And I mean, we've seen it all, right? And you've got some guys that have maybe a heart issue and you don't know it until they're really pushed. But this sounds like it was something a lot, a lot more than that. And then the potential cover up or lying during an investigation that will, you've got to, your job, you've got to really screw it really bad to lose your job in law enforcement. And you can do a lot of things, but lying is not one of them. So, so I can't wait to hear the details of this and what happened. And you know what? I believe in the system. If we have bad cops, bad trainers, bad supervisors, even in an academy setting, and they get yanked and replaced, then that's why I believe in the system. I love identifying people that are bad. There's not many of them, but the rare instances when that happens, the system I believe works, and get them out of it. So I think that we would all agree.
This kind of circles back also to the movement to lessen physical fitness requirements. This job is rigorous, not only from an emotional standpoint, but from a physical standpoint. And lessening the standards to get into the academy or be at the academy is not, it's detrimental to everybody. And you shouldn't put people in that situation if they're not physically fit. I can't imagine dropping a guy into Army Ranger School that, that can't do 20 push-ups and 30 sit-ups, but you're going to drop him into some of the most rigorous training out there.
Yeah, it surprises me that some of these recruits show up. I've been there. I've had the classes, and the first, they don't work out, and the first time they've ever been in a fight is in a circle red man drill in DT. And it needs to be a lifestyle change. It needs to be part of their lifestyle, not just to do it when they get in the academy. 10 seconds. We're going to our next commercial break, guys. Stick with us. We'll be right back. All right, guys, it's time to talk about GunLearn at gunlearn.com. And, as law enforcement officers, we deal with guns every day, but it's what we don't know about them that gets us in the trouble. Injuries, civil lawsuits, accidental discharges, misidentifications, lost prosecutions, and disciplinary issues. But gunlearn.com, they have your back. You can quickly become extremely firearm knowledgeable and ammunition knowledgeable by simply learning 14 training modules from the convenience of your home or your office, or by attending a live seminar at gunlearn.com. You can also become a safe, accurate, and competent certified firearm specialist like our very own Captain Brett Bartlett and also attorney Ken Afianco. Now, the course has had huge success in raising the bar of firearm knowledge, and GunLearn has been a trusted source since way back in 2011 by gun manufacturers, federal agencies, forensic organizations, and police departments nationwide. Now, the founder, Dan O'Kelly, has got a deal for you. If you have your own agency, if you're a chief or sheriff, you can actually host a seminar for absolutely no cost. It's an amazing opportunity. You can go to gunlearn.com to get more information. Again, that is gunlearn.com. All right, 2 minutes before we come back to the radio portion of the show, gentlemen. All right, moving right along. And we got some video components coming up, Sheriff.
All right.
Can't wait to get to those. So
are you going to have fun on this round robin trip?
I am. The one I just got back from SHOT Show. Well, look, don't get me wrong. I have a blast, but it's a little bit of stress. There's a lot of work. I have to take all this equipment and count on it to work when I get there. It's got to go through X-rays and stuff. I always get worried about computer equipment, going through X-rays and stuff. But everything. I miscalculated the clock, but I had a workaround. So everything worked perfectly except for me programming the clock the wrong way. It was working on I moved it to Pacific time instead of leaving it on East Coast time. So it was, it was going off 3 hours, late. But other than that, yeah, everything went fine. But a lot of stress, a lot of work, no sleep. And so this will be a nice, relaxing trip. And then I'll be with family when I get to Dahlonega, and I get to see my nieces and nephews, and we all get along great. And so that'll be fun. So, and the wife doesn't like the way I drive, so she'll be doing most of the driving on the way up there. So I can just kind of chill, so.
Perfect.
I tell her all cops drive this way, baby. All cops do. And she doesn't believe me on that. So, oh well.
Do you still have to back into every parking spot?
No. I don't do that. No, but I'm of course, like you, I'm very aware of everything, and it just drives her crazy, so, all right. We're 7 seconds out, going back in. Here we go, Sheriff. All right, guys, welcome back. Leo Roundtable at leoroundtable.com, the law enforcement talk show. My name is Chip the Block, and I'm your host. We're joined by Sheriff Mark Kreiner from all the way from Walla Walla County in Washington State. Did we wrap up the last topic, Sheriff? Is it time to move on to something else? I know that you had asked me when on the break, you had asked me, we're talking about like driving habits from police and stuff. I'll tell you what I still do though. When I'm driving to my destination and I get close, what do? My seatbelt comes off, and I typically like to roll with the window down, at least partially. A lot of times if I'm going like slower speeds, not interstate speeds, but because I like to be able to hear what's going on. But some of those habits, but yeah, seatbelt, when I'm getting close to my house, my seatbelt's off just in case, you got to bail, you don't want to have that seatbelt on. And I remember we never used to wear seatbelts working until we had to. Remember those cars they had? You couldn't, if you sat in the car and you closed the door, the seatbelt was automatically attached and going, it would like rotate. We hated those things. We would, drive around in cool cars, it was just horrible. Then we finally then they had SOPs and manual regulations saying you had to wear the seatbelts and stuff. And that was just, it was brutal getting past that, but it was a lot better than having to deal with the body cam. So
I can't remember what make of car it was also, but when you locked the car door, the handle wouldn't pop the lock. You had to manually unlock it. And that used to drive me crazy. And it would auto lock, like when you close the door and you put it in park, then all the car locks would go on, and you couldn't
from the inside you couldn't open it.
Yeah, unless you hit the button to unlock. I was like, that's way too dangerous. I can't be in this car. Give me a new one.
Yeah, reminds me of a female officer in Tampa that pulled over. I think it was on in my mind and in my memory, it was the side of the interstate in the emergency lane, and she got in the back seat with another female, I believe, and the door closed, and they couldn't get out. They had to call for a unit to open up the door and let them out, on radio. And she didn't stay with us long after that. Yeah, that was little extracurricular activity there. Okay. So are you ready to cover the first? Here we go. First video story, rumble.com. This is Butter, our favorite law enforcement video channel. Phoenix police officers, they fatally shoot an unarmed man later determined to be the wrong suspect. Guys, it can happen. We're in Phoenix, Arizona, and probably near where that restaurant, that guy, that restaurant is from that, what was it, the Salvadorian guy that's giving away free food to ICE agents. So the Phoenix Police Department said in an update on Friday that a member of their team fatally shot the wrong person during a police shooting on January the 26th. Now, court records have identified Edgar Garcia, 33 years old, as the suspect who allegedly fired several gunshots, and he caused a violent commotion at a home that resulted in Phoenix police coming out and shooting another guy, a 36-year-old named Christian Diaz-Rendon. A court filing written by police confirms that a Phoenix police officer fatally shot Rendon while he was on top of the real bad guy, Garcia. It states that those two guys and another adult were engaged in a violent struggle. But there are issues with this, guys. It's not just, in my opinion, Sheriff might feel differently, but I don't think it's just a blatant, huge mistake by law enforcement. And here's a quote from the family attorney. Now, remember, this is the attorney representing the family. I don't understand the decision to shoot. He did not offer warnings from what I can see and hear. He must have watched the wrong video then, because I did. There were no commands made to Christian to put his arms up. He was just shot and killed. And that's what the attorney's saying, not what you're going to see and hear on the video. In the body cam video footage, the officer whose camera is recording can be seen talking with neighbors, trying to find out where this person that was shooting. And the officer, when he gets to the house where the shooting took place, he can be heard yelling, "What? Hey, show me your expletive hands." So he did give a command. The officer then walks into the home, and someone in the background can be heard screaming. And of course, after he said, "Show me your hands," the cop ended up shooting. So then the people are yelling, "Hey, it's not him." And another individual becomes, starts screaming. And footage from the other officer's body cam shows the moment the first officer shot into the residence. And now there's security footage as well, just outside the front door of the home. And it shows a person on top of another person. Well, here's what happened. It just gets too confusing. You got a bad guy that it's kind of hard to see, but apparently he's got a gun. And you got another guy, a big dude, that pretty much goes and tackles him. And it says that he disarmed the bad guy. But this guy that disarms the bad guy that had fired a shot in the house, he starts meleeing this guy, just like punching him. And I mean, this goes on forever. And there's people walking back and forth there's no interaction. They're not jumping in and grabbing the gun, moving it away, or stopping this guy from beating the other dude. So when the cop shoves up and he gives a verbal command and the guy doesn't comply, he shoots the guy on top, beating the other dude. And the dude that he was beating apparently wasn't armed anymore, but the dude's just, relentlessly pounding him while people were just nonchalantly walking by and doing nothing. So at least that's what I saw. Sheriff, we got 4 minutes, but I was curious what your take is on that.
Yeah, extremely chaotic situation. And once again, we'll throw a little caution in there. Body cams give you a perspective, but they don't give you the whole perspective of what's going on. Very difficult, no different than, I remember a scenario in the academy that you get a shots fired call at a convenience store and you walk in and there's a guy on the floor and a guy standing there with a gun, and you shoot the guy with the gun, and it's the convenience store owner that just shot an armed robber. So, these situations happen. You can't really see it from the one perspective. You can't really see what the officer saw when he made the decision to shoot. I can sit and second guess him, but that's all I'm doing is I'm second guessing him because I didn't see what he was seeing. So whether that gun was up in the air, where that gun was, he made the decision to shoot, and he's going to have to justify why he decided to shoot. So very unfortunate, but as you and I both know, when you show up to these scenes, extremely chaotic, and with the number of people there, didn't look like your run-of-the-mill, suburban neighborhood.
I agree. Hey, real quick, we'll see if we can fit this other one in here. Rumble.com. This is Butter again. Tashawn Rogers fired a shot at plainclothes officers before being fatally shot by other officers. So we're in Jersey City, New Jersey, and we got the street crimes unit involved here. Look, there's plainclothes guys working in unmarked vehicles, and so you've got your first group. Bad guys, Tashawn Rogers, 27 years old. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, October the 21st. And as our bad guys walking northbound, two officers in an unmarked car pull up to the side of the road and they're ahead of him. Our bad guy discharges a firearm at them and then he starts running away in the opposite direction. So now you got another officer plainclothes in another cool car. And man, he rolls up. You can hear the shot fired. He knows this bad guy's running, knows that he's armed. And this officer bails out shooting. And it's dark out. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, but this guy unloads on the bad guy that had just shot at his compadres, not knowing if any of them got hit or anything. So police officer Lance Jackson exits the passenger side of the car, starts discharging his weapon as the bad guy who's armed and holding a gun is running by him. You see him discharging the weapon, and then he kind of loses it a little bit. The officer, he's just really shocked that he had to use, deadly force and stuff. They asked him if he was good or whether he'd been hit. He said he was fine. And they did provide medical aid to the bad guy, but he ended up dying, and a firearm was recovered at the scene. Sheriff Kreider.
I think if nothing else, people should take away from this video that no police officer wants to shoot anybody. Whether they're being shot at or not, they don't like it. And I think that's the reaction that you saw from the officer after he discharged his weapon. Not the outcome he wanted. He would have much rather have taken that guy into custody and put him in jail than have to shoot him. So I didn't see anything wrong with the shooting. I'm sure it'll come back justified, but they'll do a shooting review on it, and he'll either be charged or he'll be exonerated.
There's a human component to this, and people sometimes forget that police officers, cops we're human, and there's feelings involved. And I applaud him from doing the right thing, and I can appreciate him just being so frustrated and angry that he had to. He was just in that. He didn't ask to be put in that situation, but he was, and he had that. He acted and from everything we can tell appropriately. And he was just frustrated that he had to do it because there's that human component. And I'm glad that we've got a cop that obviously did not want to have to shoot and kill somebody, and it just bothered him. But he still was able to perform his job. That's the kind of guy you want doing that job. I don't, there are no wisecracks afterwards, no jokes. He was obviously troubled by what he had to do, but he did it.
Yep. And good shooting. I mean, you got a moving target at getting out of a moving car. So good training and good marksmanship.
Good point. Well, Sheriff Crider, thank you so much for being on the show. Jam up job. We went there. 2 other people couldn't hang with you. They had to go, and you did great. I also want to mention the Wind of Blue at thewindofblue.org. Lieutenant Randy Sutton's 501c3 helping cops out. Randy called me, and he's out, covering this stuff with the investigation. So he's doing a jam up job. He's on Fox all day. I want to mention our sponsors, guys. Please support them. Galls.com, CompliantTechnologies.com, Gunlearn.com, Medicare.life, SafeGuard and TwoBells.com. We'll see you guys back tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern. We're going to keep it going for the next minute and a half to keep the satellite company happy. But another good show. Sheriff Crider, any words of wisdom to our listening audience?
The mantle of carrying the show weighs heavy on my shoulders. I'm grateful you didn't throw me off the show today. So
no. You got good internet. So and what's that internet carrier again, Sheriff?
Starlink.
I love it. All right. So I'm looking here. Bill BC said that his dad was a Massachusetts state trooper and went on a disability because he got hit on the turnpike. But he said that he trained very hard before the police academy, and I did, as I'm sure Sheriff Crider did. It was just it was a way of life. I didn't have to do any special training before I went to the academy. I was already in shape. I was already running and stuff, and I did it throughout my career.
I can tell you I was thoroughly disgusted when I got to the academy because I had been out of the military for about 1.5 years at the point that I went to the academy. And I thought it was exactly like military school, that if I showed up, I knew what the physical fitness test was. And if I showed up and didn't pass the physical fitness test, I'd get a bus ticket home. And 50% of my class did not pass the initial fit test at the academy, and they weren't sent home, which to me was appalling. And there were obviously individuals in my class that had not worked out because they couldn't even complete the 2-mile run. So you knew there was a 2-mile run. You should have been running, 2 to 5 miles every single day prior to the academy. So I think we need to increase standards, not decrease standards. There's no excuse for that.
I totally agree. And the protections they have on people, it's like, when I wrote a paper saying they were protecting people that were obese. It was like, there's the ADA, the American with Disabilities Act of 1990, and that offers certain protections for certain, types of people, but obesity is not one of them. So when you get people that have a lifestyle and they're just obese, and then, I have watched get injured and go on disabilities and adversely affect our private pension and just some horrific stuff. If they just simply did, for a while we did body fat test, but and of course women are designed to have a higher body fat level, than males do. But if they simply rejected people in the academy based off of that body fat content, which will lead to, you've got precursors to like obesity and stuff, but that alone would help out pensions and law enforcement. But they don't, at least my agency didn't do it. And I don't think they are still, even though they can afford to be really choosy, so little things like that would really help. So I'm with you.
Yeah. You and I both know this is a tough job to begin with, just with the shift work and everything else. And, everything that you can do to stack the odds in your favor, you should be doing, and being fat is not one of them, and out of shape is not one of them. You should have a lifestyle that you're working out and keeping yourself fit and healthy. It's good for your mental health. It's good for your physical health. And it's good for your job. It helps you do your job easier. And I can tell you that I think bad guys look at cops and decide whether or not they can take them based on uniform appearance and physical appearance. And so,
Size
it's
them
a
up.
big factor in the job.
No doubt. No doubt. Well, Sheriff, thanks for being on the show. Streamers, we're going to let you guys go. Everybody on Rumble, and actually, LinkedIn's working fine and stuff. We got MVS over there. Click it or ticket. Very good. He's over in Colorado. So thanks, guys, for watching the show. We appreciate it. And we'll hopefully see you guys tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern. So thanks again.